Sunday marks the 7th anniversary of the massive tornadoes that hit Greensburg, Kansas. Matt Deighton survived those tornadoes, lived through it to tell us about it, and now has a children's book helping them survive storms. Molly and the Tornado is the name of the book. As I said, Matt Deighton is the author. Matt, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having us.
May 4th, 2007, a day obviously you are never going to forget.
That's right.
Talk about that day and living in Greensburg and how that sort of took place.
Well, Greensburg is, it's a small little Kansas town, just west of Wichita, about 100 miles, and we were in a storm cell system, for a couple days before, and then it accelerated, and then of course Friday was the big tornado. And it was the ENEA 5 tornado, the first FEMA declared disaster since Katrina.
Wow.
And then we had a couple, 3 nights of rough weather after that as well. Some people, I can remember my mom asking me, is this the end of the world?
Wow. It was that big. It was that big a deal. And,
yes.
We haven't seen twisters like that in that size here in Nebraska. To go through that, in the book, we learn you go to your neighbor's house into a shelter that they have there. You've brought Molly, your dalmation, with you as well. As that tornado is going overhead, what are you hearing? What are you feeling?
Well, the tornado lasted for 8.5 minutes, and we had plenty of time for storm warning, and because the National Weather Service, they started blowing the siren for us, telling us when to, about 20 minutes before the storm hit. At 10 minutes until 10, the electricity goes off at night, and so we're basically sitting there in the dark. And here comes the tornado, and it lasts for about 8.5 minutes.
Wow.
And it stalled in rotate. It kept rotating, but it stalled in movement. So it'd be like holding your rototiller in one spot in your flower bed for 8.5 minutes. And so that's why we had pickups cut in half, and the two halves were a mile apart. That's why we never found the roof to our house.
Wow.
And so you can only imagine coming out of the basement, 10 minutes later and trying to help bring people back to safety and rescue people.
Yeah.
But you had no place to put them.
Wow. So through all of this destruction, then you and the dog headed to a shelter area and this is where we see how Molly really is a calming effect on everybody.
And Molly had a wonderful calming effect. She had this natural ability to tell if you were having a bad day or not. And she got in the shelter that night, and she found Mr. Hunter, who owned the drugstore, and he had his fat cat named Wilson with him. And she knew that this was a time not to play. This was a time to be serious and be thankful and work with others. And so the book is our story of starting the day of the storm, and it takes us up to 2.5 years, basically in 28 pages. And what we wanted to illustrate with this book was cooperation, pay attention, listen, and then pay it forward at the end. Because Molly ended up meeting over 14,000 volunteers from all over the country. And with that, I want to say thank you to everybody in Nebraska, because Nebraska sent so many wonderful volunteers, especially the orphan grain trained folks out of Norfolk. And Nebraska had wonderful volunteers that helped us. So, but anyway, we have rebuilt as probably the most sustainable community in the world.
Yeah. As
far as the the efficiencies of green, environmental, and it's just been hard for a lot of people yet. We're not going to be healed completely for a while. And this Sunday does mark the 4th or the 7th anniversary.
Yeah, and that rebuilding is one of the themes of the book. And Molly passed away last year, but the legacy really lives on. And now this book, really great for kids who are sort of scared of these storms, and a great way to talk about storms and disasters with them, isn't it?
And what helps is we wrote in the back of the book some storm safety tips. And we're finding out now that kids are actually, they're, besides grabbing their Hot Wheels and putting them in the basement in case a storm comes, they're grabbing their Molly Dog book too, because it's just a comfort book for them as well.
So where can people get the book? How do they get a hold of this?
Well, we're doing book signings around the region, of course, and but they can go to mollydogbooks.com. They can find us on Facebook, and it's very simple to order. It takes a few days to get it, and we just hope that everybody enjoys what we're doing with the book, because I never thought it would accelerate into such a comfort book for kids.
Yeah, the book is Molly and the Tornado. Matt Deighton is the author. Matt, thanks for getting up early with us.
Thank you,
we appreciate it very much. Stay with us. We're back with more News 5 Today right after this.